Well, 2020 is officially in full swing, and so are the plans for road construction throughout Pennsylvania, courtesy of PennDOT. Here to talk with us once again is our dear friend James May, who is the district press officer from PennDOT.
It is going to be a very busy year. Right now we have about 50 to 60 projects that will be going out the door, and these are projects separate from the PennDOT maintenance project. So in our world, we sort of look at it in two different pots of people who are out there working. The PennDOT maintenance crews, they're the ones who are going out doing a lot of the pothole repair, a lot of the ditching work. That type of work is done by PennDOT maintenance. And then we have a lot of what people see out there and think as PennDOT is actually contractors that we work with. So we have about 50 to 60 contracts that will be going out the door for about almost $350 million. So that's a lot of money. Interestingly, out of that $350 million, almost 2/3 of that will be going into two projects. So we'll be spending a little over $300 million, but over $100 million of that is going to the replacement of the twin bridges. These are some huge bridges up in the Dunmore area if you're heading out on Interstate 84. It's 7 spans, 1,000-foot long bridge, built 40 years ago, and it just has to be replaced. It's lived its life cycle, and it's at the end of that life cycle now. So those bridges will be completely replaced. That's about $100 million of that $300 million that'll go right to that. And then a little bit farther down on 84, we've had some ongoing work with some construction down there. We've had issues with that road. That entire 84 has to be pulled out and replaced. So that's another $80 to $90 million right there. So $200 million of our $350 million is going to be spent on two projects. Now, with the rest of the money, there's going to be a lot of stuff taking place. Here in the Hazleton area, one of the things that you'll see is that we're going to be doing a lot of resurfacing and reconstruction on Interstate 81 from the Schuylkill County line all the way up to 93, that area. So that's about $11 million. We'll be doing some work down there. And then some other work on 81 up in the Clark Summit area. And then some of the projects that we started last year, I think of some work up in the Music area and some other projects where we started the work last year, and then you only get so many months to do the work in Pennsylvania before it gets too cold. We'll be finishing up some of that work as well. So lots of stuff on the docket for 2020.
Now, for these projects that are coming up, is there like an official start date when they all begin, or do you just hope for a good day, or how does it work?
We have official, what we call let date. So these are all put out to bid, and so we always put the project out. We advertise it. We take the bids. We take the lowest bidder from contractors who have been pre-approved. And so there's a let date that goes out, and then we give the contractor a start date. However, again, going back to the fact that we live in Pennsylvania, those start dates are oftentimes dictated by what the weather is. So we may come along to a contractor and say, you're allowed to start, we'll do the bids on February 1st. You're allowed to start anytime after March 1st. But if there's snow on the ground, they may not start until April. So a lot of what we do, not only on the plowing side, is driven by the weather, but on the construction side is driven by the weather as well. And it's not that they don't want to be out working when it's cold. Many times you just can't be doing the type of work, the paving, the concrete, that needs to be done when there's snow on the ground.
For when these projects, if people want to learn more about them, because if it interferes with their regular driving or their, travel plans for a vacation or something, where do they go to get the latest information on all these projects?
There's a few different things. If you're actually heading out, you can always go to 511pa.com and you can see what construction is taking place right there. You can click on the construction and actually get some more information about that. We also send out a weekly report from our office. I know that you all get that, and it will tell you sort of what is planned for that upcoming week. So if you want to just email me, jamay@pa.gov, we can put you on our mailing list. And every Friday we send out a release, and we send out some information just letting you know that the project is taking place on 81. We'll have a single lane closure overnight this week, and be prepared for that. So again, jamay@pa.gov.
Now, we're talking about future construction, but there was also a recent announcement: automated work zone enforcement cameras will be put into place. People should be aware of that, especially when these work zones are in full force. So what does this mean?
And these are in work zones, and it actually starts this week. It's starting up this month, and from now until March, it'll just be a warning time. So for the first 60 days that this is implemented, motorists will not be ticketed, but they will receive a warning saying, if this was fully up and operational right now, you would have gotten a ticket. So what this is cameras that are going to be positioned. They're actually on the top of vehicles, but cameras that will be positioned in work zones. And the idea of this is that a lot of people ask, is this sort of a revenue generator for the state? The goal with this, especially if we do this right, quite honestly, we'll be losing money, because the goal is to get people to slow down in work zones. And if we accomplish our goal and people are slowing down in work zones, well, you lose revenue when you do that. So the goal of this is not a revenue generator. When the legislature passed this, they did so with the idea of trying to keep motorists safe in work zones and trying to keep the workers safe in work zones as well. And so if you're driving through a work zone and one of these automated cameras is in there, and they can be in PennDOT roads, on the interstates, or on the turnpike as well, you would receive a ticket in the mail. It would take a picture of your license plate, send you, the first time it would send you a warning, the second time you'll receive a ticket, a $75 fine, the third time a $150 fine. So again, it's not intended, the fact that they're giving you the warning the first time, it's not intended to generate revenue for the state. It's intended to get people to slow down and to be safe in work zones.
Lastly, we're talking about the construction zones again, and you're talking about, keeping the workers safe. You're looking to name bridges after those PennDOT workers who were unfortunately killed or lost their lives when they were doing their job.
One of the goals that Secretary Leslie Richards had before she left PennDOT recently was that she had this initiative that is, they're getting it ready to go through the legislature right now, where they want to look across the state and find any PennDOT employees who were killed in the line of duty, in a work zone or while at work, who were killed in the line of duty, and we want to start naming a bridge after them. Now, that sounds like a pretty simple project. You just go call these families. Here in District 4, we have 12 employees who have been killed. Many of them are going back to the early 1970s, 1980s. So we're going back 40, 45 years with some of these employees who were killed. And so what we're trying to do now is just to reach out to the public. And if there's anybody watching this that knows of an uncle, a grandfather, a father, or somebody who was killed, a PennDOT employee who was killed, please reach out to me, because we want to talk to you about the opportunity and the possibility of naming a bridge in our community after your loved one. And so we want to do that to honor them, but we want to talk with the family members before we do that and just find what is a good bridge to do this with. Is this something the family wants to do? We would love to do that. We think it's a nice way to honor the individual who was killed, but we are reaching out. So if there's anybody watching who knows of somebody, or if you know of somebody who is a family member of a PennDOT employee who was killed, please reach out to me. My email again is jamay@pa.gov. My direct phone number is 570-963-4044, and we would love to hear from anybody who's watching.
All right, well, we've got a wealth of information in today talking about what is happening in 2020 for PennDOT. And if you would like to get in contact with James about the bridges, or if you need information about upcoming construction projects, you can email him, you can contact him, and hopefully we've provided people with a lot of information to keep them safe while traveling in the new year.